Welcome to the Confidently Balance Your Hormones podcast. My name is Davidson, and I'm a hormone health expert, master mindset coach, and multiple wellness business entrepreneur. I'm obsessed with helping you experience hormone balance, confidence, self-love, and live a life full of joy. I know we're about to have so much fun together, so thank you so much for pushing play today. And now let's begin. Welcome to another episode of Confidently Balance Your Hormones. This is your guide, Dee Davidson, and today I have a client of mine who has just finished her 6-month protocol. I love when I bring on my clients because they are the ultimate testament to functional lab testing and the FDN process. And you know my favorite saying, test, don't guess. When Hannah came to me, a little over 6 months ago, she was complaining of eczema that she's had for a long time. I'll let her share her stories around that. Brain fog and forgetfulness, lower back pain, underarm odor. So she knew definitely some things were off. And we did an extensive intake form where she's told me a little bit about how long it's been going on, what she rated things in the past, currently at that point 6 months ago, how she was feeling. And she'll tell you, we have a pretty extensive intake form for symptoms. And then what we do is after we get through the protocol, we have the client re-rate all of these things. And I'm happy to say on her new, what we call scorecard, a lot of her scores decreased, her symptoms had decreased. And you're going to hear all about that today and how we went about approaching her symptoms, because symptoms they're just check engine lights. They're not the problem. I can't say this enough. They are, they're cascading from things like gut health imbalances, hormone imbalances. You might have a yeast overgrowth. All of these things can be going on that we call hidden stressors. And the only way to get to the bottom of them is to invest in functional lab testing and see where those healing opportunities are presented to let you have the opportunity to go ahead and work on some of these things. And they're a constellation, they all work together. So welcome, Hannah.
Hi, Dee. Thanks a lot for having me.
It's awesome to have you on, and I appreciate you being open about your health and the situation and the process of working with me, because we know there are so many people out there suffering or frustrated with their doctors telling them their labs look fine, and yet they don't really feel fine. So why don't we have you share a little bit about what intrigued you in regard to working with me specifically? Was it a post that you saw? Was it something I said? What got your attention about my services?
Yeah, so I've known you, Dee, for quite a long time and follow you on Facebook. And I just kept seeing these posts about different things that were going on with people and how you were helping people get better. And I just was really curious because everything that I was trying to alleviate some of the symptoms that you talked about in the intro wasn't working. And I thought that I was using healthy products and thought that I was eating healthfully, but I knew there was something more that I could be doing. So I was like, I have to talk to Dee and find out more about this stuff. So that's when I came to you and I said, help.
Can we just talk about your eczema? Because I know that was a big thing for a long time, and we won't call out things that you were trying for it. That might have helped on and off and things like that. But how long were you suffering with this eczema? And was it in particular spots on your body?
Sure. So I think it started probably around, 9 years ago now. I got a little spot on my leg. It was like the spot of what I thought was poison ivy that just wouldn't heal, wouldn't heal, wouldn't heal. I finally went to my primary care and she said, oh, well, that's eczema. And fast forward a few years, I started getting it on my neck and my hands. And it got to the point where it was in this infection cycle. I would go on antibiotics for it because it was so bad. And I kind of thought maybe certain things were triggering it, but I wasn't really sure. So it wasn't something I was willing to live with for the rest of my life. So I said, this is really something I need to address.
Yes, and so common. We're going to get into some of the things that we worked on, but a lot of the things we see through our skin really are associated to what's going on in our gut, when people are suffering from leaky gut or high histamine, candida, all of these things. When someone has a rash or eczema and things like that, it's a true sign to take a look at the inner healing of the gut. How's your eczema now?
It's awesome. Nothing on my neck. My
Woohoo!
hand, I know I'm psyched. My hands look dry, but they are not flaring. It's, it's like completely changed my
I
life.
love that for you because it can be, my story with my son. That is how I found the Pure Haven products originally because he suffered up until, he was 2 or 3 with the cracking of eczema to the point where it used to bleed and look painful to just even look at as a mother. And we got to the point where we went to the dermatologist and they said, here's a steroid cream, but don't use it too often because it's linked to childhood leukemia. And I was like,
Oh,
holy crap. This is my 1% chance. When I went to IVF, they told me he was 1% chance. And you think I'm going to put a cream that you're telling me has increased chances of leukemia on this child? No way. And that's
yeah,
how
no.
I ended up finding the Pure Haven products, and it was just amazing. But he has had gut issues, and he had egg allergy and all these things. So we have to look at what's going on under the hood and look at the hidden stresses, usually gut health, and it's coming out through your skin. Your body's trying to help you heal, but if you don't have the science or the data, it's really difficult to do that. So let's talk about the process. So you saw the post. I know that we did a discovery session, what I call a discovery session. If anyone listening wants to just see if I can help them or see what direction I might lead them in, or sometimes I have to refer people out, and they can go to my website, confidentlyloveyourself.com, and you'll see that you can schedule a 30-minute discovery session. So on the discovery session, do you remember that because it was so long ago, or does it not even come to mind what we discussed?
Vaguely, it's like it was all the start of this big thing. So I do
Been a long
remember
time.
talking. It's been a long time, yeah, and good stuff's happened since. But yeah, it was definitely, it was nice to be able to share everything that I thought that I wanted, to talk about. And but yeah, it's been a long time.
It goes by fast though, right?
Yes, it does. Oh my gosh, for sure.
Michael always says to me, you have a really hard time letting people go. And it's not financially, it's because you and I, right? And all my clients, I just have this special, like you're my babies. Like I have this special bond and I learned so much about you, emotionally, spiritually, about your family, your health, that it is tough. And the 6 months does go by, but I'm always so happy when I have these joyful success stories of transformation. So you came on, and for those wondering, you can come on with anything. Hormone health is my specialty, but gut health, allergies, if you're having the brain fog, energy crashes, anything, you can come on. And I've never had anyone leave a discovery session and say that was a waste of money. People leave with some tips, some direction, maybe some experts they connect with, and we really go through your history of your main complaints. We can't attack everything. So I say, what are your top 3 main complaints? If I had a magic wand, what would you like me to help you with? Because we can't do it all. And you might be pleasantly surprised that we do more than the 3 complaints. But we start there and we have to talk about how long it's been going for. I remind people that if you're 40, 50, 60, 70, I just had someone in their 80s reach out. We're not resolving this in 3 months. It might not even be 6 months. You had great results and you were fairly healthy, Hannah, but some people take longer. So we talk about like, well, what's the process? What can we expect? What's the testing process? We have access to over 4,000 functional labs. We don't need to do that. Some people get a little addicted to ordering functional labs, like, let's try this one, let's try that one. We really narrow it down to what's important based on your symptoms and the picture that we want to get from the functional labs to see where the healing opportunities are. And then someone decides to either come into my group program. Sometimes people work with me and they don't do functional labs. They work on the core things, diet, rest, exercise, things like that. But the majority of my clients, they're coming to me because they're looking for someone next level from a health coach. A health coach tries to work on those things based on lifestyle factors. And that's what I used to do prior to this. What I found is frustrating because you're doing a lot of guessing and you're doing a lot of trial and error, and it can be frustrating. It take much longer. When you use science and labs, you can pinpoint where the vital voids are, where the disconnects are and the healing opportunities much quicker. And so if someone does come on, they're looking at working with me at least 6 months because no one's coming to me for functional labs that has a quick thing to turn around. We're looking at a 6 month process. So let's talk about what we did in those 6 months. And by the way, I hope, Hannah, too, during that discovery call, you felt like it was a little bit different than going to any doctor that you went to. I'm not anti-doctor. It's just the way the system is. We know they run behind. They see X amount of patients a day. I really hope that you felt heard and that I was listening because that is so key in my practice is that I want people to feel like they're not being gaslit or put aside.
Oh, 100%. Like I had your undivided attention. You were listening, you were responding with thoughtful answers. So no, it was not like the typical um, run of the mill, go into your primary care for your 15-minute visit that takes 10 because they have to get to the next person.
Yeah, and that's the difference with the whole health is that we look at everything, and it's also why we work together for 6 months because we can't go through diet, rest, exercise, stress supplements, everything that's going on in your life. We can't do that in one session. We can't do that in 1 month. I've learned I used to work with people 3 months at a time. We cannot do this. Everyone ended up working with me for 6 months. So it takes time and it takes time to do the labs. We first ordered the labs, right? We decided and agreed this was your health and your protocol that we were going to order X labs and the kits mailed to your house. How was it doing the kits at home? How did you find them?
I was intimidated at first because I got them all and I kept thinking, okay, I need to prepare to do this. But it was not necessary to do all of that, stressing about, putting it off. Because I talked to you about it, and you're like, the sooner you get these results, the sooner we can know what's going on and we can start, healing. And we were doing some of the foundational stuff at that time, but finding the results and being able to move forward with the results. But once I did everything, I was like, why didn't I do this right away? The most challenging one I found, I did a hormone test and you had to collect saliva throughout the day. So that one was a little more challenging, but not impossible. So it
Yes,
was,
I agree. And getting that saliva out of your tongue
yeah,
until you do it, you just don't get it. You're like, wow, it's like drawing water from a rock, trying to fill up the little tube, but you get so much information from that
for
hormone
sure.
test about your cortisol and where your sex hormones are at. It's so much great information. So great point. While you were doing the tests, we order the labs, they go to your house, you collect the stool, the urine, the saliva, whatever it might be. You might have to go to a lab to draw blood for some of the testing. And my whole thing is that no matter what the labs say, Hannah, I'm sure you remember me saying we still have to do the foundational things. And even now, before we get on this podcast, you said, I can't believe I'm done with my protocol. I'm so used to being, engaged in doing all of these things. And the thing is, you might not be doing the supplement protocol. However, the foundational things we're about to talk about, they're for life. I laugh when people will say, well, how long do I have to? I don't even know. Someone asked me the other day, how long do I have to do something for? And I'm thinking like, that's a lifestyle factor. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't just stop brushing your teeth. This is how you maintain all of the good things that you've just done for your body, so that you didn't invest all this money, time, and learn all these things over the 6 months to um, get back into the same situation. So when people come to me and they say, "Oh, I'm not getting good sleep," or I'm feeling fatigued in the afternoon or whatever, constipated, I always go back to asking, well, let's talk about the foundational things or the acronym that we use, dress, like a dress that you put on. How well are you doing at those things? And you likely need to double down right now if something's off. Let's go through and give the listeners just an idea of what dressed means. We start with the D of diet. And you and I know I'm not a fan of dieting or restriction because it doesn't last. And anything that someone's doing with me, I feel has to be sustainable, or else you just become one of those people that did something for a little bit and then either you're jumping on the bandwagon for the next thing, or you're depressed that here you are again in the same spot. So as far as, and you could just give us high level, what was different about the nutrition or the diet piece? What were some things that you'll implement for life from that?
Well, one of the things that has really become a part of my lifestyle, like you said, is you call them magic plates. And the biggest piece for me is putting that handful of dark leafy greens on every single
Mm-hmm.
plate. And at first, it was so odd having that with my breakfast food. Like, that's just not something I would think of. But now, if I'm somewhere and I don't have access to those, it's like, oh my gosh, where are my microgreens, or where's my arugula? Like,
Right,
I
right.
really, it's been, yeah, so that's a huge change. The other piece that's been a huge change for me too is eating within a certain amount of time of waking up,
Mm-hmm.
because I used to just push off, thinking the longer I could wait, the less I would eat all day, or whatever, for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to eat within an hour and a half of waking up. And now I am hungry and I need to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
it made a big difference too in my energy levels, um, and just my overall feeling well.
So great. And I know that you didn't come to me to release weight. That wasn't one of your main complaints, but it seemed to be a pleasant surprise to you that you did release weight along the way. Do you want to share any of that?
Oh, absolutely. So I released probably, it was 15 pounds or so. And it was interesting because I had two doctor's appointments within like a month of each other, my annual checkups for things. And
Mm-hmm.
both of the practitioners said, "Wow, what's going on? You're looking great. You've lost," because they say lost weight.
Right.
And I say, "Yes, I've adopted a healthier lifestyle." So it was really nice. It was a nice side effect. My pants fit much better now. So it was a really great extra that
Bonus.
I was
It's a
able to
bonus.
realize.
And I know that the audience can't see you right now, but I've known Hannah for a long time, and she's, like we said, that was not a complaint. She's not someone who was frustrated with her weight. She's probably leaner now than she was. Would you agree? Like leaner, and your bloat
Oh,
probably went down from inflammation and things like that.
absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
So that's a great added bonus. And I love how you pointed out eating within an hour, stabilizing your blood sugar. There is a whole method to the magic plate with hormone health and blood sugar regulation. So, so important. One thing I heard you say is that you are now hungry in the morning. What happens is your body is, its main job is to keep you alive. And when women decide they're not going to eat meals and they don't eat lunch till 11, 12, 1 o'clock, I know people have jumped on the intermittent fasting bandwagon. There's a right and a wrong way to do that, in my opinion. What happens is your body, to protect you, suppresses. It's like turning your furnace off, like that electric button in case you have an emergency on your furnace. It just suppresses it so that you don't get hungry, because it goes, oh, well, if she's hungry and it seems like she's not anywhere near food, maybe she's stuck on an island. You suppress it. But once you start to get hungry within a couple of hours of waking, you're on your path to balancing your hormones, because things are kicking on again. It's like a jump start to your body. So great, great share there. How about rest? How about your sleep schedule? Did anything change with your sleep or your sleep hygiene, or anything you did at bedtime?
I started to put the phone down a lot earlier
Mm.
in the evening. I, like so many people, were just doom scrolling, I guess, at
Hmm.
night, and trying to see all the things that I had missed from the day. And I stopped doing that. And that made a big difference for me. I did I started the protocol in the fall, which was before hockey season. My son plays ice
Hmm.
hockey, and I'm not sure I would have gotten through this season as well as I did without my change in rest. It was huge because of the early mornings and late nights. Being able to get quality sleep when I do sleep is
Hmm.
huge. So I think that
Yes.
was the biggest thing that I did differently.
We have to put ourselves on a sleep schedule. Our body craves it. And I know that sometimes we go out on the weekend and things like that, or we might have, late events during the week. However, our body's looking for that rhythm. It's looking for that circadian rhythm. It's looking for the cues, the dimming the lights, the turning off the phone a half hour before. All of that stuff really does set us up. And sleep is so underrated. Sleep is so important for everything, for hormones, for metabolism, for your healing, all the things that we're doing. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to be able to heal the inflammation. You're not going to be able to kick those bugs and things like that. It's really underrated for sure. And it shows up the next day in your energy, your mood, everything.
Oh,
I
100%. Yeah.
I know you were really good about exercise. I know you live a busy lifestyle. You're like me. You're a single mom of two children, juggling that. You have a career and you're on the go. And I know exercise was kind of on the back burner, and you and I had to talk about making an appointment for yourself with exercise. How did you make exercise a priority?
I actually went into my work calendar and scheduled myself for a half an hour. I needed, in my mind, I needed to do at least 15 minutes of
Hmm.
a walk
Hmm.
a few times a week.
Hmm.
So I scheduled myself a half an hour on the calendar. So it would pop up, be in my face. It would be blocked so nobody would book a meeting on that time. So that's how I was able to keep myself on track with that.
So important. Just like scheduling lunches, I think. I'm not sure if you were eating a regular lunch and being present with your lunch. Were you doing that when we started working together? Were you packing lunch and being present?
Oh no, that was another big change too. Yeah. So, yep.
That's I think if I have had one person doing that, I don't believe that I have, because we attract what we are, and my clients are go-getters, and they do a lot of things and multitask and have careers, and they're amazing people, but they have the tendency to put their own needs at the bottom of the list. And my hope is when you all leave me that shifts. And I know that it did shift for you with exercise, with food, with sleep, all those things that you're now going to carry. I know one time you said I'm a totally different person than when I started with you. What did you mean by that?
I just feel like I have a better outlook and um, I am able to prioritize myself more than I was before. Um, my skin is clear and happy. I don't feel the brain fog. It's just, you have, working with you has changed my life. And I
Makes
really,
me so happy.
and me too.
It
So,
really fills my heart. It really does. That's the reason that I do what I do. And every day I say, God, bring me whoever needs me, because we put ourselves way at the bottom of the list. And on my website, it says it's your birthright to be happy, to feel joy, to wake up and be excited about the day. And there are so many women, I'm sure many listening to this right now, that feel down on themselves, that don't like what they see in the mirror, that don't have energy, that are really struggling alone. And I love our community, our COY community, and how we all uplift each other on those Monday calls. And you're great at showing up to the group call. Even though you are a one-on-one client, one of the advantages is you get to also jump into our group call. We have a Monday community call. We do it during lunch hour so people can schedule it. Do you want to say anything about the community or the support?
yeah, for sure. The women that have been in that community and on those calls and that support is really amazing. I've heard some really uplifting things that these women are saying to each other on the calls, and people are so open and real with each other. And then it just it's it's great to see that, and I've been a part of it too. So it makes a difference having that support. You're an amazing support, but these other people are a huge um, added bonus and make it work too.
I know that there are so many, again, women that are out there and they feel alone. Maybe the significant other is not the healthiest and they'd love to change the significant other, but it's not our job to change anyone. I want to remind you that your responsibility, I have this conversation over and over with my clients, is you are responsible to yourself. Your spouse isn't responsible for getting the right groceries, making the right food, making the spot for you to go to the gym and they watch the kids. It's your responsibility to make it happen and to ask for what you need. And I think with the community, that's one of the biggest parts is that everybody is maybe they have different health ailments or different ages, but everybody wants to feel better, look better, live a longer life. And so we have that common goal and they can come together and, as you said, just be real and share and feel supported.
Yeah.
How about stress, Hannah? Did you have any stress in your life? What stress techniques did I help you with?
Oh yeah, that stress. One of the things that actually was really surprised about that works really well was legs up a wall.
Oh, my
It's like,
favorite. My
yeah,
favorite.
um, and it works so well and so fast. Um, Another thing that I learned was sort of the taking out the trash.
Mm,
So every night or every morning or whenever you choose to do it, you just got to get all that garbage and like think about it and just let it go. Like
mm.
sometimes like in the shower and just let it go down the drain because we all have it. And that's been really helpful. Those
Such
two
a
things.
such great tools. And that's the thing is we're not gonna maybe do the same tools every day. Maybe today you're in a hurry in the shower and you don't have time to take the trash out, but maybe you can do the legs up a wall. The goal is to give my clients as many tools as possible and then be flexible to say today this is what I can do. This is what my body can do. This is what my schedule allows. And taking the trash out is really important because every day, whether people realize it or not, we're having these mini traumas. Maybe you had a confrontation with a woman at the grocery store. Maybe your child was driving you crazy. And that stuff, when we suppress it, it manifests in our health, that manifests in our mood. And it just layer upon layer builds up inside to energetic blocks, lots and lots of things that we talk about. So it's important if we can just take a scan through our day and say, what things don't belong to me? I'm sending them back to wherever they came from, or I'm just letting them go down the drain, as you said, to just release them. Because a lot of people that come to me, their health is where it is because they've just not learned to release things. You have to release, you have to begin again. You have to realize, okay, that's over now. It's a new day, it's a new hour, it's a new minute. And stress is, I believe, the root cause of all disease. There's a lot of people that are workaholics, they're over exercising, they're overeating, they're eating crap. Those are all stressors. There's not one stressor, but there's a lot of stressors. And I describe it as having your computer or your phone open with a lot of tabs. And if you have all these tabs open, your body's going to start to slow down. And that means taking away from your digestion and taking away from your hormones and taking away from your immune system little by little until you may end up in this exhaustive phase where you need a surgery or multiple medications and things like that. So the more we can close out those tabs one by one and I will be there by your side, then you're never going to eliminate all stress, but you'll feel better. You'll start to have restoration in your functions, the functions we just talked about, and things will start to rebalance because the body's always looking for a state of ease and balance. And when it's in dis-ease, you got the word disease. And so we're looking to always rebalance, and stress is a big one. And when we talk about stress, we just talked about the external stressors, but let's get into the functional labs real quick and talk about whatever you feel comfortable sharing. What surprises you had on the functional labs? Was it worth the investment? And anything you want to share about what came back, what surprises you had, and again, they're costly because insurance doesn't cover them. You can use your flexible spending accounts if you have one of those for labs or my fees, but it's an investment in your health. Is it worth it, Hannah? And what did you find out?
Oh my gosh, I 100% worth it. Um, I I can't even say how much this is worth. So the few things that came back that I was actually really surprised about, well, a couple of them I wasn't really that surprised because it wasn't even on my radar, I guess. But the one that I was surprised about was my immune system was just trashed. Like you said, I'm not sure if this is right when you got the results. And I was like, well, I never get sick. I'm fine. And then, but I have never had a fever in my adult life. So that you came back, if you found out that that's a sign too of a garbage immune system, like something's happened
Isn't
here.
that crazy? I had never heard of that until you. I mean, there's so many things, and that's what I love about my world is that I pay to be a part of this association with thousands of other practitioners where I can ask questions or bring cases. I can pay a clinical advisor if there's something complicated. But when you told me that, that was just crazy to me that your immune system is so low functioning that it doesn't even alert your body. It doesn't have the capability to spike a fever.
Yeah.
Talk about
So
correlation to your labs.
right. No, for sure. And so that I feel like my body was probably working like overtime to compensate for that. So maybe that's part of the reason why I was so exhausted and all this other stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
that I was kind of surprised about. A couple of other things that I learned were that I have low stomach, or had at the time, I'm going to retest, low stomach acid. And I had high H. pylori in my
Mm-hmm.
system. So I think you said those two things go
Yes,
together
the H.
because,
pylori just wrecks your stomach.
right. So those were things that, while it was like, oh, these are issues, but there's things we can do. So that was a good thing to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those were really like the top three. And I did a food sensitivity test as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know you explained that a lot of times when you heal your gut, those food sensitivities will kind of go away. But I found out that I was drinking this tea every day with one of the foods that I was sensitive to. So I was like, no wonder. I got rid of that right away. Like there were certain things after the labs I was able to do like immediately, and it made like a change just like right
Yes.
away.
And your
Wasn't
skin, the food sensitivities is a big thing. Two things with the skin, which was your biggest complaint, is leaky gut, which we pretty much confirmed that you had leaky gut. And how do you get leaky gut? Well, through all of these factors. If you're eating foods that you're sensitive to, like the inflammatory foods, not the tea, but like if you're having dairy, gluten, corn, things like that in this country are just really inflammatory. I think everyone should ditch them. Not everyone has a sensitivity to them, but what happens is it can cause damage to the mucosal barrier, which is only one layer thick. If you think of your skin, it's 7 layers thick. So it's easily compromised through things like those types of foods that could have pesticides and things, water quality, alcohol, processed food, just stress in life. And so when you get leaky gut, that's actually the thing that causes the food sensitivities. It's not the actual tea that you were having, it's that your gut has these holes, if you will, these gaps where the things you're ingesting are going to your bloodstream. And then you have these little bouncers that sit at the edge of your gut lining. And so when things like bad bacteria and foreign elements come in to contact with these little bouncers, they identify friend or foe. And because food is not supposed to be floating out in your bloodstream, it triggers an immune response and it takes a lot of energy away from your body and why your immune system starts to tank as well. It's all a cascading picture here, a big constellation of what's going on. And you really have to put it together. It's the reason I don't just do one test on people because it still leaves us with not enough answers. But when the food is out in the bloodstream and it tries to come back in, it triggers this immune response. And when you heal the gut and things are sealed and healed, then we see that food sensitivities start to clear up. Other than, again, I think the inflammatory foods, the gluten, dairy, soy, corn, grains for some people, those can really be lifetime inflammers, unfortunately. But yeah, just amazing. And then your skin starts to to clear up. And great point. You said, I'm going to retest. Well, that's the other thing too, is that when we go through all of this, we want to retest to make sure that all of the things that we're doing are working and that you're in a good place. Now, we don't treat the paper. I treat the person, not the paper. So you're already knowing, even if you weren't to retest, which we don't recommend, we recommend retesting, you can see by your symptoms and your new scorecard that, well, something's definitely different. And then when we do the labs, it's so exciting. One of my clients yesterday, she's had B deficiency for years and even went for the shots and all that. Nothing got it up. We did her protocol and she texted me yesterday. I just posted. She's like, oh my God, they drew my blood and my numbers are like way over. And she's like scared, like, oh, this is bad. I really don't think I could be wrong. I haven't looked into it, but she's like, I don't know if they can have me stop taking, B12, but when we really get to the root of where all of the things are dysfunctioning, we see it in the results. So you just told us you're feeling great, your energy's great. I know that you're going to go back to some weight training. It's not uncommon that when we're doing some heavy duty healing, we take things like weight training or CrossFit or spinning off, and you've been walking, which is wonderful. I know you're going to go back to doing some weight training, important for women, especially over the age of 40. Your retest, which is awesome. So for anyone listening who's on the fence and they're like, it's a big investment, or I don't know, should I do the testing? Should I work with D? What are your words to those people?
I would say that it's probably the best gift that you can give yourself. You need to prioritize yourself, make it happen, because you only get, well, in this life, you only get one body, and feeling good and being, having all this is like, it's worth everything. So do it if you possibly can.
Yes, and we do offer 15 months interest-free through a company. So if someone's thinking, well, maybe I can do it over time or payments, we have payment plans and things like that to make it affordable, even if you don't have a lot of symptoms, but you're wondering the state of your health. Generally, after age 40, I think people should be doing these tests annually, or at least some of them, like the gut checkup after you've done the initial evaluation of several tests, because we get blood work done at our physical every year. We need to know our gut is everything. 70% of your immune system. It controls your mood. It controls your hormones. Everything is gut related. In the least, people should be getting that test done annually. And we break it down as much as we possibly can. If you want to read other reviews and you're listening, you can just go to Google reviews. And I think I have about 50 reviews out there right now. So there are a lot of testimonials out there. I'm grateful again, Hannah, for you taking the time and sharing your story on here. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Dee, and thank you for everything.
You're welcome. It's really a pleasure to serve you and make you feel the way that you're describing. That is like the ultimate fill my cup.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Confidently Balancing Your Hormones. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to share it with a friend and also hit follow at the top of this podcast. If you have a couple of minutes and you can leave a quick review, it will help other women in need find this podcast. You can find me on Instagram at confidently_love_yourself. I would love to stay connected and hear from you.